We'll be in there for a little bit. Psalms 46. Okay, so there are a lot of things in this life that we encounter on a day-to-day basis that demand our attention. We do a lot of things like problem solving, planning, working, and other similar things every day. And over time, these things can add up, and when we can become stressed because of the extent of how much we have going on. The question that I would like to ask us is, when we become overwhelmed by the stresses of the world, where do we turn for peace? Where do we turn for guidance in hard times? Again, in Psalms 46, I'll get there myself. Starting in verse 1, it says, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy habitation of the Most High. God is in the midst of her, she shall not be moved. God will help her when morning dawns. The nations rage, the kingdoms totter. He utters his voice, the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come behold the works of the Lord, how he has brought desolations on the earth. He makes war cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots with fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. When we are going through hard times and we're stressed, as Christians, we have an everlasting refuge to turn to in our times of hardship. God is always there for us to turn to when we are struggling and need guidance. So for the next few minutes, I want to take a deeper look into Psalms 46 and look at some of the takeaways we could get from this today. So when you look at this passage, you'll notice that the writer makes a distinct contrast between the descriptions that he gives the problems of this world and of God's nature. When we encounter problems in our life, they could seem to be insurmountable. We will all inevitably deal with big things like a loss of a loved one, or our life is just disrupted to where we thought where it was going to go. Like the passage says, these things can be so overwhelming that it feels like they have the power to move mountains into the sea. It could feel like we are in the middle of a raging war. There's a sense of extreme instability and chaos. As a result of these things, we could start to lose focus and become anxious. We can become less productive, and in some extreme cases, we can lose our ability to do anything effectively because of how unsettling the world is. A total collapse of security can be brought about because of it. However, we have God to turn to when we are feeling beat up by the world. God does not falter, and he is there for you during your highest highs and your lowest lows. God offers us an everlasting stronghold to run to when we are overwhelmed by the world. The way that this works is by submitting to him. Humans tend to want to solve their problems on their own. And the problem with this is that we don't see the full picture. We don't have a bird's eye view. We could only see from our perspective. When we try to fix things ourselves, we dig ourselves into a deeper pit. What God asks us to do is let go of our desire to solve things ourselves and to turn to him for solutions, because he has the ultimate plan and he knows what is going on. Again, in verses 5 through 11, it says, God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God will help her when morning dawns. The nations rage and kingdoms totter. He utters his voice, the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come behold the works of the Lord, how he has brought desolations on the earth. He makes war cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots with fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. God tells us, be still and know that he is God. What this means is that at times we will not always have an answer to everything that is happening around us. We will not always have a solution to every problem that we encounter. But what God is telling us is stop focusing on what is happening out there. Let the mountains fall into the sea. Let the war rage on. Look to me. I am with you forever. I am your stronghold. And only in turning to God can we find the peace that surpasses understanding. We need to seriously take time out of our days to dedicate ourselves to prayer and meditation to God, because that's how we bring about the peace. When we draw nearer to Him, we disconnect from the chaos of the world and are able to revitalize ourselves. And turning to God shouldn't just be something that we do when we are panicking or going through hard times. We need to look to Him for peace and guidance in everything that we do. When we give our lives to God through baptism, it isn't an on and off switch that we could just go to Him and then go back to the world, go to Him. When we treat it like that, that's when we get ourselves into situations that we can lose sight of Him. And I think that's something that we all struggle with from time to time. But that's why going to church and spending time with our church family is so important. We need to make it a point as a Christian family to lift each other up when one of us is struggling and encourage our brothers and sisters who are going through hard times. Again, we might not always have the solution to the problems that we are facing, but encouraging one another might be the thing that that person needs to keep going to seek God's refuge. Like it says in Matthew 11:28 through 30, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And in Galatians 6:1 through 3, "Brothers, if anyone is caught up in any transgression, you who are spiritual should restore him in a spirit of gentleness. Keep watch on yourself, lest you too be tempted. Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. For if anyone thinks he is something when he is nothing, he deceives himself." We as a church family need to serve one another as a guide and a road towards God's fortress, the fortress of God. And when we fail to do that, that's when our brothers and sisters start to fall. That's when they start to stumble. They become discouraged and fall away when we don't pay any attention. We need to remember that we are all running the race to get to heaven together. It's not a solo race. So I would like to encourage all of us to look to God in our times of needs and times of peace. When it feels like the world is crumbling around us, what we need to do is we need to take some time, disconnect from the world, go in prayer and meditation on God, and look to Him for guidance and strength in everything that we do. And as the family of Christ, we need to make it a point to check in with one another to make sure that we are doing all right in our walk with God. We need to encourage one another when we are struggling. And even when we're not struggling, we need to always be that encouragement to always push forward towards the goal and run the race and seek God as a refuge and go to His fortress in our times of need. God is always there for us. And what He asks you to do is submit to Him. And when we do that, we find that even though the forces of this world can seem insurmountable at times, the peace and stability that He offers us can never be overtaken. So there's an invitation that we usually give out. God is asking you to humble yourself and go to Him, because we don't have the solution. God has the ultimate plan, and He knows what He has in store for you. We need to go to Him in our times of need, in times of strength, and whenever we're looking for guidance. And we need to follow what He has for us. So I would encourage you, go to prayer when we are feeling in times of hardships. Go to Him when we're not in hardships. Go to Him when we're happy. Go to Him. It says to pray at all times, pray without ceasing. We need to do that. We need to look to God and use Him as our, with the Super Bowl coming up, as our coach. We need to have Him as our Lord. We need to make sure that we're following His desires and His will. So if you're in need of prayers from the congregation, or you would like to be baptized tonight, you could come